I have many memories of Bulsar. Bulsar has been a part of our lives forever. Right when my cousin was born, my aunt used to live in a sanitary for that period of time, and it was right on this Tithal road that we made. We made clay vessels and clay statues and clay stuff. Then, of course, there was a time when we used to go to the old Balsar, which was beautiful, Vanyawad. I still remember the Ganesh temple and the Jain Mandir. And I used to take a whole circle. So I would walk all the way to Parsiwada, then turn around into what is the Muslim quarter. And then I would go around it and come back from behind the red school, which was just the beginning of Vanyawada. And it had cows and bullocks and goats roaming free in the back. There was an old building which was a broken down. It was like a fort, and we used to play cricket there, and it was a graveyard actually. And then of course we went to what is now called the Todiwala building, and it was quite a good experience because there's a professor living downstairs with an old grandfather clock, and it was like a book. It was like a storybook where you have some professor living downstairs, and there is a suspense movie happening. And this guy looks like my grandfather. I thought for a moment that that was my grandfather, except that my grandfather has not been around for 15 years now. So Todiwala building is where you could sit on the small terrace of theirs and have a cup of tea, which was really amazing. And my mom and my aunt, they made a lot of great food. They had they would always have unreserved, lots. They would always have lots and lots of ginger and green chilies mixed together. It was an heavenly, it was a heavenly time. And yes, there was sometimes there were red menaces, but that was nothing compared to the fun we had. And that's my brother. Very happy to be back in Bulsar. Even when we had a collapse in our business and we had a big problem, we were in Bulsar, and we walked through all these lanes all the way to the biscuit factory and everywhere. And I used to have pav bhaji in that small restaurant. There was a Blue Fox shop, and of course there was the Gandhi Library. The Gandhi Library had all kinds of books, especially Asterix and Om Papa. And then there was always somebody who would write a review on the front page. Don't get this book out, it's a very boring book, etc. etc. And the Gandhi Library had the best newspapers. So everybody from the village, or from the town, because by the time Balsar was quite a big town, but I remember the times when it was a village, and we were living on what is called the second floor, and the Gujarat mail or some train like that would come at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, and my uncle and aunt would come. And that was such a happy feeling to have that. And now it's all changed, and luckily, the development has not destroyed the old world. And I think that would happen in most cities in Gujarat and even in Pune, because they have place to expand. Bombay is like Hong Kong. It's a terrible place. So they would just destroy your memories. In Bombay, they would just cut off old trees, cut off old buildings, cut off, destroy old things. And my brother's just gone to Balsar, so I got this video from him so that I could talk about Balsar. I remember my mother and me, we spent those 9 months in Bulsar. That was a different time. That was a different era. It was a different world that we lived in. But luckily the roads are the same, and I don't know if the judge's bungalow is still there, and that Parsi bungalow, which was a very steep bungalow that my uncle liked, and so did I. I wonder if the camel carts are there. There was a time when we went to Tithal on a camel cart, the whole big family. That was beautiful going over the Waki Nadi. There were times when I went with my cousin to Tithal beach and sat down and talked about the women I loved. That's the Todiwala building. It's a stunning piece of work. I've played cricket. They played cricket with very soft balls because they didn't want to be hit by balls. And I found that very strange that they played with soft balls. I worked in the computer institute here. It was called SCON, Systematic Computer Network. And through this place I went back to Bombay because we were here from September of one year to the June of the other. And there was a time when there was sugarcane juice which was made by oxen going around and around, and those were magical moments. Then of course Tithal Road did not have many mosquitoes and you could sleep out under the roof and the sky. But that changed once it started getting populated and they had this basin cuckoo parrot which would talk to you and always say Kasaku, and everybody called it Kasaku. My cousin was crazy about trains, so we would go to the train station at say 2 in the morning just to eat vadas and look at the train. He loved the trains. And I guess we used to go to the Neera place early in the morning. We used to go to this talkies. Alka talkies was, I think the tickets were like 2 rupees, where I saw my James Bond movie for 2 rupees. I was alone. Bulsar has been great. Of course, the fun would start in the trains, and I think Flying Rani was my first double-decker train that my aunt. I went with my aunt to Bulsar, and she was great. I had amazing food. I still remember their hospitality. And it was fun. I would walk all the way from one end of the train to another just to see what was going on. And then getting down at the station and then again eating food on those canteens. It was just mind-blowing, the whole experience was. My brother and I used to count cattle. So he would sit on one side of the train and I would sit on other. And we would see how many cattle would pass by, bullocks and oxen and buffaloes and goats. And then I started counting temples also. And also chicken and pigeon and everything. Because it became a bit of a competition. But just a bit, because we were still very happy to go by train. When you return back from Bulsar, you will smell of the train. Your whole body will smell like the train when you return back because of moisture in Bombay's air. But when you went to Gujarat somehow, you didn't smell because the smell didn't stick to you because there was no moisture. It was not a humid thing. And of course, I remember the super green Sanjan, Umargam. Those areas were very, very green. I don't know what they've done today, but Danu would have lots and lots of coconut trees. And then Sanjan was so green, you could, beyond the station is just greenery. And I think the southern part of Gujarat is the only green part of Gujarat, which also has the sea. Because once you go north of, say, maybe Surat, for example, then you would start losing out on the sea and you will go into a more desert-like, not really Rajasthan, but it would be more desert-like. Of course, the new government is changing all that with Narmada project and what have you. But the greenery is finally coming to Gujarat, which is very crucial. This is the canteen where you used to have those little vadas and the green chilies, and it was just a amazing experience. It was just ridiculously great. And yeah, I remember the taste of this. They would fry green chilies, and then you had all kinds of rickshaw drivers asking you if you needed to come with them. The ticket to Bombay just cost 12 rupees at time, and my uncle would get us triple seat on
I
his
feel
bike,
nauseous, believe me.
and we would
Never
reach.
had a
It
lot of
was
shit
beautiful.
come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just